It started. Usually I don't record these meetings. Let's see, start recording. Should be recording, it's not. Okay, so I usually don't record these meetings because I want to always give you an opportunity to say what you want to say in a safe space. But today is just a meeting about one thing. So good morning, my admissions and registrars family. It's always a pleasure to see you and be with you. Um, Today's meeting is not our traditional meeting we have for you to, I ask you for questions and then we have a conversation and give you updates and stuff like that. Um, Today's meeting is to talk about the Long Leaf Commitment Grant Program. I have in my office Brenda Burgess, and so I'm going to ask her to jump in a lot on this because she is the expert on this, and she was at the table when this was being crafted. And so, but before we start talking about the Long Leaf Grant Commitment Grant, I want to say if you have not done the survey that I sent out, completed the survey I sent out regarding the credit for prior learning, please do so as soon as possible. Lisa Eads and Dina Guido really want that information and they need that information. And so they want to make sure as many people complete that as possible. So if you have not already done that survey, please go out there and look at the document that's in service now regarding the workflow for credit for prior learning. And if you have any comments or anything you think should be changed in the document, or if it's not a workflow that meets, I won't say your standard, but meets your processing, please go to the survey and convey that in a survey that's out there. So I would really appreciate that. They keep asking me how many people have completed that. And so we really want to make sure that as many people as possible from the schools complete that survey. With that being said, we're going to move forward to the Long Leaf Commitment Grant. The reason we wanted to make sure we had a meeting regarding this grant program is because this is a program that was initiated and announced by the governor's office. And so, one, they really want this program marketed, and they really want us to use this grant program as a marketing strategy, also for enrollment within the colleges. And so, like this program, unlike other grant programs, we're asking you to really focus on this and market this program. But going forward, we'll probably put a lot of emphasis on the other scholarship and grant programs also, as it relates to admissions and registrars. And the reason we thought this group would be good to talk to with this is because you're the ones who are mainly responsible for the recruitment of students at your institution and the relationships with the high schools and parents and communities, in your surrounding areas.
Yeah.
So do me a favor, if you're talking in the background, put your phone on mute, or if you need to answer your phone, please don't put it on hold because we don't want to hear the music. So put us on mute and answer your call. Okay. Anything I need to add from this so far? Okay, I'm talking to Miss Burgess. Okay, so the Long Leaf Scholarship, um, the Long Leaf Commitment Grant Program is a grant program that the governor, the money came. I'm trying to see if I can get to the slide where I can talk about this, because I think some of these slides may not refer to you. Okay, so the purpose of the Long Leaf Grant Program, and I'm going to jump from slide to slide on this one, just so you know. As you all know, that because of COVID, we received a lot of money from the federal government for the colleges. And so some of that money also went to the state of North Carolina for different states to decide what they were going to do with the federal funding. And so the governor decided that with a portion of his money, he was going to start a grant program for students who attend community college to pay for their tuition for free. And that's the way they put it, pretty much. And so, because what they wanted what they wanted to do is they wanted to, one, improve post-secondary access and completion for students most impacted by the pandemic. They want to reduce barriers for student success, and they want to accelerate it. Students accelerate equity-focused programs and database resources. Pretty much what they wanted to do is make sure that students would have access to higher education. And so what they did is they focused on community students who would be attending community colleges. And so what they're doing now is they put $31 million, I'll say $31.5 million into the program. And so so that's going to be for 2 years. And so this grant is going to cover 2 years. And I'm going to go over the criteria. That's a long, I think a slide further down, right, Brenda?
Yeah, it's farther down, but what you may want to do.
Oh, speak up, please, say.
Dr. Hickman has kind of put me on the spot this morning, but good morning, group. I am Brenda Burgess, Associate Director of Student Aid Programs here at the System Office. And I think he has really already touched on some things that I would just like to reiterate with you guys. This 2-year commitment grant, long leave commitment grant, I know you've seen it, you've heard about it. We've got a big campaign going on our web page. The community college web page. It actually provides direction and or guidance to the student and or parents who are cruising our website. There are several links there that allows the student to kind of click an image, and when they click that image, it number one takes them to apply to college. We know that that's the student's first step. Following applying to the college, we want them to make sure that they're completing the FAFSA. And the FAFSA, as long as the student has an EFC that is within the range of $0 to $15,000, that student could qualify for the long leave commitment grant. And that grant would give them anywhere from $700 to $2,800 in long leave commitment grant. We know that those students that have the lower EFCs, they're actually going to be on the lower receiving end of this particular grant program because, you know, with our Pell Grant and other programs, they are pretty much more than covered. Yeah. So it really highlights those students, or is trying to capture those students that are in the middle EFC ranges. And I know that you all in admissions know probably as much about financial aid as some of our financial aid folks do. But for those students that don't receive as much Pell Grant or don't receive any Pell Grant at all, and maybe just a little bit of our state grants, which would be our community college and education lottery, they are the ones that are going to benefit more or most from the long leave commitment grant. So they could receive up to $2,800 for the year. That's $1,400 per semester, as long as that student is attending full time. And the governor's announcement, if any of you will follow our website, our web page, the governor's announcement page is attached there. And you will see an example, I think it's around page 4, that shows a student having to attend 15 credit hours. That is an example, it's merely an example of how a student can benefit and or obtain a full 2-year degree, basically tuition free.
But it's not necessarily.
Right, but it's not necessarily so. A student can take 12 credit hours, which is the required full-time enrollment terminology per the Department of Education, and still get the full $2,800 per year. However, if a student is enrolled less than full-time, they may still benefit from the long leave commitment grant as long as they are enrolling in your institution at least half-time.
Right.
And do want to point out that a lot of students and or parents have been inquiring, and a student only has to be if a student has to start enrollment in the fall semester.
So the criteria that I have before you right now is pretty much the criteria. The student have to have graduated in 2021. So we've gotten questions that if a student graduated in 2020 from, if they graduated the spring of 2020, can they get the grant? No, you cannot. You have to have graduated in 2021. However, the caveat to that, if you are a student who graduated in December, say you graduated early in December, but your academic year for graduation is 2020, 2021 in high school, you still qualify. So, and by the way, you can stop me and ask me any questions as we go along. So please do, because the questions you may have may be the same questions someone else have. So you have to be a North Carolina resident for tuition purposes, which means they have to do the RDS. They have to pretty much go through the regular admissions process at your institution, do RDS, do regular financial aid. So it's nothing extra that the student has to do that they already haven't done, by the way. So just to get regular financial aid, they follow the regular process. There's no application for this. There's no other criteria or processing for this. The financial aid office handles all of this process. They have to be a first-time college student. They can be a CCP student. By the way, have graduated from CCP. They have to be a CCP graduate. They can't be a current CCP student. That the reason I say that is because we got questions about, well, CCP students have college credit when they graduate from high school already. Well, they're high school students, so they still fall within that high school student range. After having graduated from high school, have to be enrolled at least 6 credit hours. They have to complete the FAFSA. They have to have an EFC between 0 and 15,000. And this is great for your students because usually with the other grants and stuff they get, the EFC range is a lot less. And in order to get the money for the second year of this program, they have to, again, make sure they apply for financial aid like they normally would for other aid also. So this will fall in line with the current community college grant. So that's why the student really doesn't have to do anything extra, because it's going to be provided to the schools on the same chart that the community college grant and the lottery scholarship is. And so the financial aid office, once the chart is created, will be provided that chart. And so, for example, say for the community college grant, I think the cap on the community college grant is 80. The EFC is 8,500, and so most students who have an EFC above 8,500 don't qualify for the community college grant or anything else. But guess what? They will qualify for the long leaf grant. So they'll get something, and so this will help a lot of students who traditionally don't qualify for the Pell Grant or the community college grant or the lottery scholarship. Any questions so far? I know you have some. All right. So, and the reason we're telling admissions this, we've already had a call with financial aid. We're talking to the admissions staff now because, one, we want the admissions offices to promote this program. You're the ones who promote most of the programs. So the governor wants this to happen. As Ms. Burgess stated before, we've already created a page on our website. I think a lot of other colleges have already started creating marketing material in-house at their institutions, but we're also waiting. We have contracted with a marketing company here to provide a template, marketing template to give to the colleges. That is not ready yet. I talked to our public information officer this morning, and she said hopefully within this month we'll have something. The company we contracted with is working on it. As soon as they do, they'll send out website templates. They'll send out probably templates for you to create marketing material and all that for this scholarship. But I don't want, if you have an institution and you're doing things on your own, I will say go ahead and do your own thing until you get it, because we really need this program to be marketed. It came kind of late. We got word of it and we weren't allowed to announce it until, actually, to be honest with you, after a lot of high schools got out. A lot of students had already graduated and left high school. And so we didn't have the opportunity this year, as we had in the past, to really let school counselors know that your students qualify for this. So we have to, we're at a point now, we have to, we have to rush, struggle, and figure out a way to get this out to the public, because the high schools are out. And so what do we do? And so we know that's something that you are good at. That's something you have to do anyway, and you have relationships with those in the community who could probably get the word out for this. And so we're hoping, again, since the governor did this, and this will help a lot of students pay for education who in the past probably wouldn't have funding to pay, or if they got other scholarships, this will be a supplement to some of that stuff, that we can, increase our enrollment. We know that right now enrollment's down across the state, and so this is a good opportunity to market and promote and say, tell a student who probably right now who don't think they can go to college, or probably isn't thinking about going to college because of COVID or whatever reason, look, you can go to community college down the street, you do the process, it's pretty much paid for.
And I will say that as you are talking to these students that are kind of straddling the fence and thinking, well, I can't afford to start in the fall because I need to work a little bit, save a little bit of money, let them know that the long leave commitment grant is there for them. And they really cannot afford to wait until the spring semester to start, because this grant program actually starts in the fall. So if those students are kind of, anticipating maybe I'll start in the spring, use your skills and kind of let them know that they really need to start in the fall.
They're not eligible if they start in the spring.
Right, they're not eligible if they start in the spring, because we're not sure at this point. We're going to monitor the funding to see if there's a way that those students, if they, just cannot start in the fall, that maybe there will be some funding left that we can accommodate them. But at this point, student needs to start fall 2021.
Yeah.
And the grant program is only for fall and spring semesters. It does not cover summer.
Good question. Good point. And the financial aid officers did have some Q&As, and so we did keep on this slide the questions they had and the answers. One question: are students who completed a GED in North Carolina in 2021 eligible for the long leave commitment? Yes. A student of any age who is a resident of North Carolina for tuition purposes, in other words, pretty much RDS, and who completed a high school, an adult high school diploma or GED during 2021 calendar year prior to the start of the fall 2021 college semester is eligible for this program. So it's not just high school students, it's also your GED students, which is great. That's wonderful, because a lot of adult students who, complete those programs who probably don't know how they're going to pay for college. Another question is, what happens if an eligible student chooses to enroll in the spring 2022 instead of fall? Currently, a student will not be eligible. And that's what Brenda just finished saying. You have to register for the fall. So in the spring, you're not eligible. And I see a question from Scott. He said, will marketing materials be developed that indicates that AHSC 2021 graduates are also eligible to apply for the grant? I've encountered high school education programs completers who are aware of the grant but don't think they are eligible. I can ask that, and that may be something that we need to put even on our website, because we did say high school graduates, 2021 graduates. We didn't say adult high school. We didn't say adult high schools.
We did.
On here?
An adult high school diploma.
Let me make sure.
Or GED in the Q&A.
Oh, I mean here.
Oh.
I mean, the criteria we listed,
right.
And on our website, we may want to make sure that we list it on our website too.
I think on our website we do have a Q&A, and if that question has been raised on our website, it is there's a current response for it. Yeah.
Another question, if a student, do me a favor, put your phone on mute if you don't mind. I hear you typing in the phone ringing. Um, if a student withdraws before the semester ends, will funds have to be returned? Um, the answer is if a student withdraws prior to the 35% point of the term, a return of funds calculation must be performed and the same as the community college and lottery scholarship funds, and funds need to be returned to the agency. So the funds will be returned to state education assistance authority,
Right.
just like the community college grant and the lottery scholarship.
So, and that is for financial aid purposes only. We do encourage our students to attend for the whole length of their program, but there are circumstances as things happen that our students have to withdraw. Yeah. So the 35% point of the term is the same as for community college and education lottery. And off the record, even though we are being recorded, as long as that student attends at least a month of classes, they are more than likely not going to have to pay any of this money back. But I hope you won't use that as a recruitment tool for our students, because we do want them to attend the full term and or length of their program.
Yeah, I think they're gonna say come for a month leave. Yeah. They do that. Ms. Bartley asked a great question. What about other high school equivalency programs? Do they qualify? Do all high school equivalency programs, not just GED? Because GED is more like a type of program.
Right.
So I'm assuming.
Yeah, I believe it's applicable to all high school program types. We didn't, for the sake of time and trying to get the grant program out, we didn't go out there and specifically identify all program types. But Ms. Bartley, I do believe that it would be applicable.
And so
as long as they have a grad year that it is the equivalent to 2021.
We need to talk to them too down the hall then. I think we need to do that. What if students start in a late fall 2021 session? Are they eligible?
As long as it is within your fall semester, even though it may be like the mini-mester, we do, as the student completes the FAFSA, as they complete the FAFSA and they are awarded the grant, as long as they begin enrollment within the fall semester. Even if it's a 12-week late start class, an 8-week, I believe they would be eligible.
And Elizabeth asks, are homeschool students are included? Yes.
Yes.
Homeschool students are included. The governor wanted to make this as broad as possible for anyone who graduated anything in the 2021 academic year. Let's see. To our Q&As, students do have to meet SAP policy also. Let's see. What happens if a student does not file? And I'm back to the Q&As. What happens if a student does not file the FAFSA for 2022-23? Pretty much they have to complete the FAFSA. So we'll tell you to make sure your students complete the FAFSA for next year, for the second year, just as you would any other student, because again, it's equivalent to the community college grant. They still have to meet SAP just like they would for any other grant or program. Let's see, Holly, early December 2020 graduates, yes, they qualify because, as I said earlier, they fall within that 2021 graduate year, academic year. So if they graduated in 2020 last year, if they were a 2020 graduate for last year, no. But if they're December 2020 graduate, so they're a student who's just graduating early, they do qualify. Okay, can a student skip a semester after fall 21 and still be eligible for the remainder of the funds?
As long as they complete the FAFSA for 22-23 and meet the school's policy, the SAP requirements by the college.
So I think scenarios.
Yeah, they're not going to hold any funds for the student. So if that student attends fall of 2021 decides not to come back in spring of 22, but decides they're going to come back in fall of 22, they don't have any additional funds. They've lost their $1,400 or whatever they qualified for the spring. But as long as a FAFSA is on file for 22, 23,
Right.
And they meet all eligibility requirements, they could resume eligibility for the grant. A mouthful, but I hope that I answered your question.
Yeah, so Kara asks, so if the student graduates within the 2020-2021 academic year, they qualify. Yes, I am thinking GED students who graduate in September or October of 2020. So if I graduated from GED in 2020, do they graduate? Do they qualify? We know high school students do, but the GED and high school equivalency students qualify also if they graduate early.
Yes, we've had a lot of discussion on that. I'd like to take that question back, and whoever asked it, I'll provide a response to the group to just clarify that.
Give me a second. I am copying that down so we can ask that question. So Carrie, we have it, and we'll get back to you on that, okay? Okay, so Ms. Whitaker asks, if the student is taking only one course and it happens to be an independent study, would this student qualify? Just throwing this scenario because it happens for students who only need one course that is not normally offered during said semester.
Student has to be enrolled at least 6 credit hours. In at least 6 credit hours and be a 2021 graduate.
And if they're starting out, why would they need one course also? Yeah. So that's a good scenario. We need to think about it. But no, they have to be enrolled at least 6 hours. They have to enroll for the first time in the fall, for the first time as a high school graduate, or GED or whatever that high school equivalency is. Oh, okay, Gwen, cool. Dr. Jordan asks, is it possible to add these additional Q&As to one document and make available on the System Office portal? We can try that.
The System Office, there is a Q&A on our webpage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that includes a lot of
these questions.
Yeah, a lot of those questions. It is actually on our webpage. And I believe one of the slides tells you, yeah, if you just go onto our webpage, I think there's about 4 or 5 dots. If you click on the one that has the student on the front, I think Dr. Hickman has taken us back to that particular slide.
That one.
Yeah, or even if you just type in Longleaf in the search bar, it's going to come up with that particular web page. And the Q&As are listed down there.
And I'll send these slides out to you also. So let's go back to the Q&A. Let's see. Maybe there's some questions we need to.
Keep in mind that these questions here are just financial aid Q&A.
Yeah, many questions are financial aid,
Yeah, there are some general Q&As.
Yeah. So I wanted to keep the financial aid because some of them were, and admissions and registrars did a lot with the financial aid stuff too, especially the SAP. So, no. And so a lot of this is, a lot of what you see on the slide before you is a lot of the financial aid questions and comments we had, like the grant is considered an entitlement and is not subject to reduction based on cost of attendance, things like that. The grant considered emergency funds should be excluded from estimated financial assistance. A military dependent who graduated from an out-of-state high school's parents or North Carolina residents will qualify for this grant, which is good for you all. You can, that's something you need to know. A student must enroll in an eligible certificate, diploma, or degree program. So those are good things to know. Jeremy asks, sorry for the follow-up. The December 2020 early grad who enrolled in spring or summer 2021, would they qualify?
Yes.
Yes, they would. As long as you are a 2021 academic year graduate, you qualify. Because they pretty much will fall under the same umbrella as a CCP student who graduated. They have college credit also. Does that help, Jeremy?
And currently, DACA students are not eligible.
Yes.
There's some updated information on our website that explains that in detail as well.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Is there anything else they need to know? Yeah, just make sure that you let them know also this is a 2-year program. This does not extend beyond that. So if you have students who are going beyond that, they will not qualify.
The long leave commitment grant program ends spring semester 2023.
Right. Mm-hmm. So just to make sure they know that. Let's see if there are any other questions. Okay, someone asked, that makes me wonder what is happening with North Carolina Senate Bill 6672 for DACA students. That is currently still on the floor, to be honest with you. We don't know if that's going to go anywhere or not. From all the meetings we keep having, we don't know if it's going to go anywhere at all. So it's still on the floor.
But we do encourage our schools, because there is the HERF funding, the HERF 2, HERF 3, those particular programs will allow you to make awards to DACA students.
Did everyone hear her on that?
Can you say that again?
Your institutions can use the HERF funding now to award to your DACA students. It does not exclude DACA students.
Which is wonderful for you.
Mm-hmm.
So we always struggle with how we're going to support those students who enroll our students in our schools who are DACA. So HERF funding does allow you to award those students. So, and I will say that money is temporary, correct?
The HERF funding?
Yes. That's going to go away eventually, right?
Eventually it will go away.
Right. So I would say for recruitment purposes, whatever, I would take advantage of that funding now for those students. And just pretty much for any student, because right now we have schools who have not awarded a lot of that money. And Ms. Bird is shaking her head vehemently. A lot of schools have not awarded that HERF money a lot at all from what they can. And I would say that's a wonderful marketing and recruitment tool. And so if you're going to, if we get your students in school, so I would say, work with your financial aid offices and see what you all can do to get that funding awarded and get it out there. And you can use that for recruitment and everything else for next year. And I'm telling you, because I don't know if you're familiar with this. I know financial aid knows, but you may not be familiar. So you can use that funding to award your students and get that out there as soon as possible. So the question is, can funds be used to pay for workforce Con Ed courses if students have met the 6 credit hours? Can Con Ed students get this?
For long leave commitment grant, no, this is a CU award only.
Right, so no. So Con Ed students cannot receive this funding. However, we do have a lot more funding recently for Con Ed students. We have the GEARS grant for those students. We have the Golden Leaf for 20. You can use at least 25% of your Golden Leaf money for Con Ed students, which means if your school really wanted to, they can use a lot more than 25%. So and then there's others for Con Ed. There's also State employees,
Employee
state employees credit union.
The firefighter scholarship.
Yeah, there's a lot of money funding right now for Con Ed that wasn't there before. So I would say, work with the different departments to identify how to award those funds out. And it's, again, a wonderful recruiting and marketing opportunity for your institution. Let's see, Jeremy, can you clarify? I did not think we could use her funds for recruit. And when I say recruit, it's more about promoting access. So you don't have to say there's her funds um, for these students. You don't have to promote it, but like that, because when the fund goes away, if you promote it now and when the funds go away, you promote it, it's already out there. So I would try to figure out a way to promote access and let students know there's resources to go to college, because it may not be HERF at the time once they go away. It may not be long leaf, maybe something else that we come up with or we identify. So I would say promote that. But your DACA students can receive the HERF scholarship. Funding. So I would say at least encourage them to come and let them know there's resources there for them at this time anyway. Because a lot of students don't attend or don't even apply because they think they can't afford it or pay for it. Well, you have money now that can, so at least let them know at this moment in time there's funding and resources for them. And the reason we're saying market the long leaf grant is because all students who graduated in 2021, well, most, because DACA don't, but most students who graduate in 2021 qualifies for this. And so the governor and all who wants this to be a promoted program across the state. Let's see, is there anything else? Well, this slide is for the resources. Again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to provide you a copy of these slides also, so you'll have them. And if you have any other questions, I would also say to send it to me or Miss Burgess. Her name is Brenda Burgess. It is Burgess, BBURGESS at nccommunitycolleges.edu. I'm trying to get to that slide with her email address on it. It's the very last one, but you have to scroll through. So that's her email address there. And so send her an email, send me an email, and once we get the marketing material to you, we'll send that out. And so if you'll like, one thing we did this summer, and we're going to probably revisit again, is the Strategic Enrollment Management Task Force. We're probably going to do another session on marketing, and then we're going to also do a session on branding, because I think that's two different things. So we're going to provide some enrollment management development on that, if you like. Because one thing we realized that community colleges sometimes have an image problem, a marketing problem, or just people don't know the benefit. And so we're going to provide something for you all on that. Any other questions so far on this? Also, again, if you have your own marketing material, if you want to go ahead and promote this program, if you need to confer with us just to get more detail on it, just to make sure you're conveying the right information, please do so. But if you have your own process, in addition to what we're going to provide, and you want to get it out now as soon as possible, and you can't wait on us, which I completely understand. If you can't and you want to do that, please go ahead and move forward with that. And we can help you in any kind of way to do that. Let us know, we will. And then once we get the marketing material from our public information officer downstairs, we'll send that out to you also. And that'll just reinforce what you've already done. But please promote community college to your students. And I think this is a help. And great, it's wonderful. I'm surprised you all have no questions at all after this.
Is it because I'm in the room, Dr. Hickman?
No, they don't care about you. They're not afraid of you at all. They don't care. Trust me, they don't care. What is covered by these funds? The same thing covered by these funds is the same thing as the community college grant: tuition fees, room and board, transportation, pretty much your whole cost of attendance. Your cost of attendance is covered by these funds. from a financial aid perspective. So just
Direct costs,
tuition fees, books, supplies, transportation, miscellaneous, all that is covered by this. So nothing should be prorated because they have transportation costs or they don't have transportation, then you're gonna prorate. That should not be done.
The only time a student receives a partial award is if they are not enrolling full-time. And full-time is less than 12 credit hours. So the award would be reduced.
Yes. So if you need to tell your churches, your community organizations, your friends, if you need to put it on Facebook, because that's what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it on my Facebook page. Just so a lot of students, a lot of parents who don't know about it, who want their kids to at least go to college for at least a year, 2 years, and get an associate's degree, I'm going to promote it. I'm going to put it on my Facebook page.
I think our students, if they are going to CFNC to apply to college, they are seeing the long leave commitment grant out there on CFNC's website. CFNC has also posted the long leave commitment grant. It's on LinkedIn. I've seen where some institutions, Wilson Community has advertised in their local newspaper the long leave commitment grant. I saw Edgecombe Community College has also announced, and I think it's on Facebook. So a lot of our schools have already gotten very creative and have put the information out there. I can imagine the school's financial aid offices are receiving lots of calls. I've reached out to the financial aid offices, and what they are waiting on now, and hopefully we'll receive pretty soon, is the workflow for how they will actually award the grant and what it will look like to a student on their award offer.
Mm-hmm. And Bob, you're right. There may be no better time than now for first-time community college students to enroll and work towards their credential.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful. You're right. No, in Courtney, we did not say the award will be reduced. The only way the award is reduced is if you're enrolled less than half-time. And then it'll be prorated based on your
less than full-time.
I'm sorry, I said half-time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, less than full-time.
Yeah.
I'm speaking too fast. If they're enrolled less than full-time, it'll be reduced to whatever they're enrolled.
Mm-hmm.
What about three-quarters time?
Three-quarter time, they will receive a reduction. Less than half-time, they get no long leave commitment.
Okay, so they have to be enrolled at least half-time to get it. All right, so if we have no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and end this. And what I'm going to do is, again, once we finish, I'll try to get this recorded, posted on YouTube, and I'll send a copy of the YouTube link to you all once Dr. Evans is able to do that for me. And then also, again, if you have any questions, contact Ms. Burgess or myself. And if you contact me, I'm going to go to her. So may as well go directly to the source. So contact us, and we'll make sure that we get your answer. Okay?
You will receive a communication back from Dr. Hickman. We are going to research and respond to the question that was raised in the chat.
Yeah. So thank you all. You have a wonderful day. Oh, and complete that survey on credit for prior learning, please. I'm stopping the report.